We're here on Union Springs Trail. It's west of Harrisonburg, Virginia. And at the beginning of the trail, there's a little earthen dam, so we usually stop right here and air down. The trail's pretty good in this part, just a gravel road as you can see, but it'll turn into a gravel trail, and then eventually up on top of the mountain it'll turn into a, sure enough, off-road trail. We aired down there. My friend, he airs down to about 13, and I aired down to about 18 pounds, which is what I normally run on these trails that are fairly easy. Our last trip here in October, this was a dry riverbed, Stony Run Creek, I believe we found to be the name of this creek, but it was dry back in October. Plenty of water here now. Plenty of water on the trail in general. Very shallow water to cross here. No deep water on the trail at all, I don't think, at any time of year. On into the summer months, you may find this trail to be completely dry. After you cross this creek, Then you begin to climb, and the trail becomes a little more winding. Cross the creek a couple more times. I believe this is still Stony Run. It's basically a spring. Once you get up a little further, you will cross it again and begin to go up the side of a ravine. You'll cross it here. This is basically a spring that runs out of the ravine that's going to be on your right hand side, and it runs all the way up to the top. This is the beginning of the ascent, and you'll climb up to the top, and once you get to the top, then it'll go off-road. Starting to see some snow, shady side of the mountain here. A lot of the trail was in the shade, so we do run into a little ice the further we get up the trail, and by the time we get up to the peak, all the water holes are frozen and turns into a lot of fun. Now here we started running into some ice and snow, and in just a few minutes here we'll run into a guy on the trail with a flat tire. We'll stop and help him out a little bit. Sometimes you'll run across other vehicles using this trail the same time as you, especially in the warmer months of the year. And at the top of that ravine, the trail makes a left turn onto a much narrower, more of an off-road type of trail. And this is that particular section of trail right here, running through the laurel bushes. Pick up a few pinstripes. And basically this is the only section of the trail where there's very much danger of having pinstriping. It was very cold this day. Lots of ice in the water. This is a really fun part of the trail here. These water holes that you'll see us going through, they're not extremely deep, and it looks as if these holes have been saved from people going through them and digging them out. There's one or two places you'll see here where the truck sets down pretty good in the water, but it's not extremely deep. You won't have to have a fording system or anything like that for these holes on a regular basis. They're pretty shallow. Dig, little taco. My friend Derek West getting some exercise. He's got a nice little channel. Builds lots of interesting things. Trains and drones and competition shooting. It's a good little channel. And now we are moving on across the ridge of the mountain, the ridge line, I should say. The good thing about using this trail this time of year is that with all the foliage gone, all the leaves gone, you get lots of good views, sometimes off of both sides of this ridge. And even with it being wet and the melted snow and ice and stuff like that, the melting and refreezing, the ground's still fairly solid, so you won't have any real problems with getting stuck in the mud or anything like that. In just a few minutes here, we'll run into a vehicle that's not necessarily an off-road vehicle. It is considered a trail vehicle, but it's not a lifted vehicle or anything like that. And so you can make it through these trails without a big lift kit or anything like that. Pinstripe.
Passenger.
There are a few of these little sections. It's not really
Give it the beans.
a rough part of the trail, but as far as climbing over small rocks and stuff like that, it could be considered some of the roughest part of the trails. Not tough, but rough. Little rock climbs and stuff like that. This is my favorite part of the trail. After coming through those first water holes and then coming across this ridge line, it is what makes this trail the most exciting and the most fun to do. Coming up the first part of the trail is more like a Forest Service road, and this part is more like an off-road trail, and it'll give you all the views and rock climbs and different things like that. Nothing of extreme nature, but it'll give you a few rocks to climb over and stuff like that. This little section here is pretty fun. Nothing major though. Great peaks and valleys of the Appalachian Mountains. In my opinion, and I might be a little prejudiced, but it's the most beautiful place on earth. Made it out to Flagpole Knob. The trail stretches away down the ridge towards Reddish Knob. Where we came from. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.